My name is Marsha David. I was born in Lithuania, the capital of it, in one of the suburbs, which was called Viliampoli. I don't know what else you need.
Good.
Okay.
What year? Yeah, you're doing fine.
My age?
Yep.
Okay, I was born in 26, June 28. What else do you need?
Well, tell a little bit about your family.
My family. We were 3 children, my mother and father. My mother was a designer of women's clothing. She used to go once a year to Paris, to the shows. And my father was a foreman in a factory. And we were just 3 little kids, having a good time with our parents.
And the name of the town again?
The suburb, the capital was Kaunas,
Okay.
and the suburbs was Viliampoli.
Okay. Do you speak any other languages?
Yes, I forgot a lot. It's a little hard to converse sometimes in any specific language because sometimes they get scrambled as far as phrases go. But if you're born in Europe, 6, 7 languages is nothing out of the ordinary.
So you could speak a number of other languages?
Yes, yes.
What were you most fluent in?
Yiddish,
Yiddish.
of course.
Oh, good.
And it's not the Polish version, it's the Lithuanian where we have grammar.
Oh.
It's not yach and mach and all that stuff. It's me, myself, and I, you know. But Yiddish does have a grammar. It's not a converted language from German like people think it is.
Yeah.
It's not. And of course we were in Lithuania, so we had to learn Lithuanian. And this is the basic on Latin kind of substance. And of course we were occupied by the Russians, so we speak Russian. And it's not just speaking, you had to learn to read and write all these languages. It's not just speaking it. And of course English and German, a little bit of Hebrew and a little bit of Polish, and let it go at that. The only one I don't speak that I could use here is Spanish. I have no intention of learning it either.
How about your father? Your father's name?
My father was David Per, P-E-R, very short name. And my mother's maiden name was Schneider, spelled like in German, S-C-H.
Yeah, okay.
And what else?
And your dad's occupation again?
He was a foreman in it's called Incaras, and they made everything out of rubber.
Oh.
Yeah, he was very knowledgeable because my parents always went to school, let's put it this way. I've never seen them without a paper, without a book. And this was their religion. School, 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 and it carried on through life to my grandchildren.
Was it like a very religious background? Did your
No.
family did not
Traditional.
belong to a synagogue?
Yeah, we went to synagogue, but I don't say we were religious, but we were very traditional.
That's good. And your siblings?
They were younger than me. We were 2 years apart, we were 3.
And their names?
Jenny Per Mastovitz and Glenn Per.
How do you spell the last name?
P-E-R.
P-E-R, okay.
Very short, good for English language.
Did you have much of an extended family? Cousins? And,
Everybody's dead.
grandparents?
Everybody's dead. Everybody's gone. Not even one uncle, not... the only ones that survived were two aunts on my father's side, Sonia Kalma and Helen Greenspan, and those were their married names.
Are they living?
Not anymore, no.
Is your mom or dad?
My mother passed away 5 years ago.
Oh. And your sister?
My sister lives in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale. Is not a well person. Has a lot of problems, health problems.
And your brother?
My brother lives in the suburbs in Illinois, suburb of Chicago.
Does he have a family?
My brother, yes, he has a son and a daughter, 2 grandchildren.
Okay. Before the war, did you experience
Anti-Semitism?
Yes.
Very much
yes.
so. My mother used to tell us, when you're coming home from school and you pass the church, I want you to cross the street and go on the other side. And that tells you enough of what it was. Because
when you were growing up, did you have any hobbies or
I was ice skating. I was very athletic. I was doing hurdles and playing basketball.
Was your sister athletic too?
Yes, she was a terrific dancer.
Oh.
Always were.
Did you take after your parents at all?
My parents were very active in social things. They were doing charity work for...
Did you join
people.
any organizations?
When I was young?
Yeah.
Well, when the Russians occupied our country, you automatically became a pioneer, wearing that red thing with a little fire on it, the pin,
Okay.
and you had to do everything that the school told you to do, which was athletics and singing and all that stuff. I mean, we were marching up a storm. Yeah.
So, before the war, you felt the danger? Were you
Not
aware?
really. We actually lived in a quiet area.
But there was anti-Semitism.
Absolutely. And the neighbors turned on you. If they were asked and threatened, where did the Jewish people live, they were the first ones to point it out.
Wow, and they were rewarded for that.
Oh, yeah,
by the-
absolutely.
It's terrible.
Absolutely, they were rewarded, because for the first week or 10 days, we didn't even see a Nazi or a German. Everything was done by the Lithuanians. All the pogroms, they came into our house too. Put the shotgun on the kitchen table, like this, on 3 legs. I didn't know what it was. But yeah, it was one of those. And this is how they went through the neighborhood and killed the people and robbed, came with cars and took whatever they wanted. And when they walked into our house, one of them recognized my father, and he worked at the same place with my father. And he said, "There's no shooting going to be in this house, but we'll take whatever we want." And they did.
So they didn't hurt you physically?
They didn't shoot us, but they took everything.
But they could have.
They could have.
They had the opportunity.
They could have. I don't know why they didn't, but this may be the reason.
And all this happened before the Germans arrived?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What
And
year would that have been?
45.
What year?
45.
45?
41.
41, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
41.
And they did. They took everything they could fit in that big wagon with horses.
Evidently the Germans, Nazis,
That was
encouraged them.
Yeah, that was the deal with the 5th colony, It was very active.
So what happened when the Germans came in?
Oh, they marched in with their shiny boots and big hats and went through the neighborhood giving us orders with one of those foghorns.
Yeah, the loudspeakers.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. And
did they have a selection, or what would happen?
Once they put us in ghetto, yeah, we had selections every week.
Did they make a ghetto in your town?
A what?
A ghetto in your
Yep.
town?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In the suburb where we lived, they made the ghetto.
Well, how many people would have been in that ghetto?
Oh, they brought in people from all over Europe. It's not just the residents that lived there. Because once they died, they had to replace, and they shipped us for that purpose. If they killed all the Jews in one town and they needed slave labor, they put us in these cattle cars, and whoever survived and got out was sent to a labor camp in the beginning. So,
did they have the ghetto surrounded with barbed wire? Or
oh, absolutely, barbed wire.
And electrified, probably.
Not the ghettos.
Not the ghetto?
Not the ghettos, but they walked outside the fences.
Oh.
Yeah, with the guns aimed.
Did they tattoo anybody? Or
Did they what?
do any tattoo? Put marks
Oh,
on your...
no. There
They
was
didn't?
only one camp. That was in Poland, and that was Auschwitz. No, they gave us numbers, but that's it.
So you didn't have opportunity to hide from them or anything?
Oh, no. What they did to the man is like the, I don't know what they call it, where you cut your hair, you shave your head,
Yeah.
you use that tool. They
Just a
did it
clipper?
right down the middle.
A clipper.
So if it was summertime, this got dark from the sun and you worked outside. So you couldn't run away. What good is it? You had hair all over, but here. And the women, they shaved totally.
Wow. Hard to recognize people without their hair. So I guess trying to conceal your identity was to...
Oh, no,
it was
nobody would,
impossible.
not by us, nobody would help you. Unless you had a lot of money, you know. And it took a lot of money. I'm not saying you were well off or something. I mean, we weren't poor, but we weren't rich enough to do any of those things. Because being with two kids in ghetto, because my brother was God knows where at the time, because we didn't know where he was. He was cut off from us totally. He was a little kid.
Were you transferred to any other camps? Or
Yeah, we were sent to Latvia. And
was that by cattle cars?
Yeah. And Latvia had a concentration camp with crematoriums, with everything. And our countries were near the Baltic Sea. And they took, the first selection they took to the fort, it was called, where it was built by Vytautas Didysis, that was one of the kings at that time, the warrior. It was many years ago. And that's where they put the Jews, and that's where the Russians were hiding, the Russian military, because they were just as surprised. Yeah. And then they shot them over there, all of them.
They shot the Russians?
The Russian military, yeah. Shot them.
So who were you with when you were sent to Latvia? You were with your mother?
With my father. No, my mother was taken away from us.
Oh, you were separated in what? In
oh, yeah.
Elections?
Yeah.
Your sister?
She went to work, and she never came back, and we didn't know what happened to her. We just happened to be, when we went to Latvia, she happened to find out that there's a transport from Lithuania, and she was starting to ask questions. She figured she doesn't have nothing to lose. Maybe she'll find out something. And because she was working for the captain of the camp she was in, because of her
What was she doing?
She was making fashions for his family that he was sending to Germany. So, of course, they gave her a mannequin and fabrics and measurements, and she made the fashions that were in style.
That might have saved her life.
Saved her life.
So where she was able to do these
Yes, and saved our life, because she did find us. But then we were separated from my father. And he was sent to the Russian front line to pick up the German bodies.
Oh.
And the fields were mined. So we found it out after they brought them back and they put us in. It was like miracles.
Yeah.
So I did get to see him once before, but that was it. Never saw him again.
You were liberated by the Russians. And what year would that have been? Would that
In
be
45 in end of January.
And at that time you were with your mother?
Yeah.
Your mother was with you and your sister?
Yeah, also.
And your brother was not there?
No. We never knew until the war was over. A year. In 46 we found out that he was sent to Tashkent, which was in Asia. Because he was a Lithuanian, what they say, citizen, you know. He was an enemy.
Yeah.
He was a little kid. And I didn't see him for 30 years after the war.
And when did you first see him again after that length of time?
30 years.
Yeah, 30 years later, but where?
They were able to go to Israel. And my late husband and I, we worked our head offs, because first I brought my mother here, because she went back to Russia to find him.
What, your brother went to Israel first?
When they started letting out the Jews from Russia after the war, it was a short period.
Were you in a displaced camp?
My brother?
You and your mother.
Oh, no. By then we were liberated. But other than that, we were in 4 or 5 different camps. They didn't let you stay less than a year in a camp, so you wouldn't get familiarized yourself.
Yeah.
But you slave labor, you worked everywhere. We were digging ditches for tanks, so the Russians couldn't approach the front line. Can you imagine to dig a tank a dig for a tank, so when they did approach, they would just fall in and couldn't get out.
Wow.
That's how deep we were 3 climbing on each other to get out.
Wow.
That's how, and can you imagine an 8-line highway going 8 lines? That's how wide these ditches were. We were actually digging up the whole forest.
Well,
And at night, if we were able to, we used to crawl out and put the dirt back in.
Wow.
So a lot of people got shot, but what have you got to lose? You try to do your part.
Yeah.
And we didn't have shovels for the night, so we used to lay down and push the dirt with our feet, so it would fall back into the ditch with the wooden shoes. The wooden shoes were easy, although you got blisters from them.
Wow.
Oh.
And that happened,
That happened in Latvia.
it was in Latvia.
And then we were sent to Stutthof. And when we got into Stutthof, we saw those little flakes flying like somebody flips ashes from a cigarette, what it looks like. That the air was full of it. And the smell was putrid. We didn't know there were burning bodies. We did not know.
Little flakes of ashes.
Ashes.
Did you see the smoke, but you could smell?
Oh, yeah, yeah. The smoke was putrid. As soon as you approached that camp, that was it. And anybody they took away, we never saw back.
So how many camps were you in?
4 or 5, I think 5.
And what camp were you in when you were liberated?
It was called Corbin, and that was a small camp because it was strictly slave labor, digging those ditches for the tanks, because the war was coming near, but we didn't know.
Did you know that the war was...
We only saw the planes. And they used to shoot out those little flares, and those were the Russian MiGs. So they were pretty fast flying. And the bombs always fell on the outside, never within the camp.
So when you were liberated by the Russians...
By the Russians.
You were in this small camp.
Yeah, in the woods.
In the woods?
And they were tents made out of fiber boards. And when they got wet, they used to cave in on us. And the roof, I guess they used Christmas trees. And when it snowed a lot and it got heavy, it fell on us.
Not funny.
I'm just laughing. They were geniuses. What they thought of how to punish, how to kill, how to make soap out of the fat of people, how to make lampshades.
Yeah, they used the hair, used everything. Yeah.
And when they shaved our heads, sure, they used the hair in the boats, in the ships, the bottom of the ships, the walls.
Yeah. Wow.
Lots of things being in camp you didn't know. You found out most of it after the war. We didn't know these things. We didn't get papers. We didn't have radios. We didn't have clocks. We didn't have toilet paper. Not even newspaper. I mean, no, you couldn't take a bath. I remember my mother washing us once. She took a handful of dirt and she rubbed our bodies.
With dirt?
With dirt.
And they gave you a little food when you were in...
And they gave us little water.
They gave you a little water?
Little water. So sometimes you just put your clothes on. What good is it? The clothes was dirty, you were dirty, you were filthy. They didn't even let you go to the bathroom.
That's terrible. Wow.
Yeah.
But in the winter, it must have been worse.
Oh, they gave you silk dresses.
They gave you what?
Silk dresses.
Silk dresses.
In the winter. And warm clothes in the summer. I mean, there is nothing that they missed. Nothing.
So when you... Where did you leave from to come to America? Was that your...
No, it took me almost 5 years to get to the United States after the war.
So after the war,
had to live in Germany.
You lived in Germany?
But we were liberated in Poland. And then little by little you traveled toward the American zone. But you went through all where the war was. So everything was bombed out. We went to Berlin. It was bombed out. Then you entered the 4 different...
Were you sent to Berlin, or did you go
No,
on your
we
own?
traveled.
You traveled on
At
your own?
that time, you traveled on your own. So on the roofs of trains, if there was a train, sometimes you waited a week. They were telling you, another train is coming, but it never reached you. Never came.
Oh, so it took like 5 years?
Oh, no. It took us a year to get to the American zone.
But you knew where it was, and you were...
Well, we were already a year after the war in Poland. And then it took us a year to get to the American zone. I mean, And the English, oh, were they bad, the English soldiers. Very bad.
Wait, who was bad?
The English.
Oh, the English.
Oh, they were bad. They sprayed us. We were already clean because we were already over a year after liberation. We were just traveling from Poland to the American zone in Germany. But they still sprayed us, and they were mean. They were not nice.
They sprayed you with what?
To disinfect for lice,
yeah.
for vermin, but the way they did it was ugly. Just because we were liberated, we were still people. The Germans did it to us. They did it too.
You mean disinfecting? The Germans did it, and the
when the war broke out first, then they let the lice crawl all over us. No.
lice leads to typhus.
Oh, that's it. They didn't want us clean. No. They wanted us hungry and dirty and dehumanized, not human beings.
They wanted you to keep that way.
I was as tall as I am now. When I was liberated, they weighed me in as 48 pounds. 48 pounds. Well, what is it? Skin and bones. And I had typhoid.
Oh, you had typhus? Oh.
Oh, yeah.
You had to get rid of the lice first, and then the typhus.
Well, that's what happened, yeah. And that was the UNRWA. It was UNRA. It was American charitable organization that gets sent. It was a Jewish organization. And there was the Joint, which was also a Jewish organization. And they send in doctors, and they send in... But the Russians did it too. I cannot say a bad thing about the Russian military.
You say you cannot say
no, they helped us a lot.
Thank God, that's good to hear.
The military was great, because after all, they had Jewish generals also in the Russian military.
Yeah.
So we did find one right after we were liberated. And he gave my mother the first aspirins. That's all he had. So he said, "Here, give this to her. Maybe she'll think she's going to get better with it." But I heard him. He was speaking in Russian.
You could understand.
Yeah.
So when you came to this country, you spoke English, no English?
The London English. Nobody could understand me here when I came, because I lived 4.5 years after the war in Germany. So there were military, you know, so I encountered one that was from London. My husband got to know him, and he said he will teach us to speak English, but with a London dialect. So when I came here, I had to get rid of it.
You had the London dialect. Where did you meet your husband?
My husband was a Dachau survivor. And Jack Nimro, who was a soldier. He was with the military that liberated Dachau.
But that's where you met your husband. I mean, you probably didn't know Jack Nimroff at that
Oh,
time.
no. I still don't know him. No.
So you went from the American zone, that's when you were...
That's when we applied for papers, and it took us another close to 5 years to get
Even after
here.
you applied for papers, it took that long before you were...
Yeah, you had to wait. You had to wait for the quota.
Wow. And where did you land in America?
Newfoundland.
Newfoundland?
By the Canadian border, because we came with a military plane. So my husband was sleeping on the parachutes.
Oh, you came by plane?
Yeah, military
to Finland?
plane. Yeah, four prop military over the Atlantic.
And then what? After?
And then what? We didn't wait for charity. He started looking for a job. We went to New York, and I found New York a dirty city. I said, I'm not staying here. I've seen enough dirt to last me a lifetime in the camps.
You went from Finland to New York?
Yeah. The plane had to land there to refuel and all that. They had a base there.
Oh, this from Finland. So you were not in Finland very long.
Oh, no. Just at the airport.
Do you remember what airport you landed in, New York?
It's all in the papers.
No.
No.
So you didn't like New York?
Oh, no. I found it very dirty.
Let's see, what year would that have been then?
49 or 50.
Like 1950 or so.
It was dirty.
And you were with your mother?
No. My mother went back to Russia to look for my brother.
Oh, so
and
you
my
were
sister,
your sister?
My sister went with her. She said,
so
I go with
alone.
Mom. I came alone. Because I met my husband. We were married in Germany.
What town in Germany you were married?
Wolfratshausen. It's 40 miles from Munich.
Oh. So you were with him when you
Yeah.
came to New York.
Oh, yeah.
So you were not in New York too long.
No. 6 weeks.
Again?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
I said, I'm not staying here.
So
we went to Chicago.
Then you moved to Chicago? Mm-hmm. You like Chicago?
Better than New York.
What part of Chicago did you live in?
We always lived in one of the suburbs. So either it was Skokie and then Northbrook.
Okay.
I went where the schools were good. I don't care what it took. What the house looks like, I did not care. I cared about the schools.
The education.
The education, yeah. That's what I knew. That's all I knew. Because even when we were in Germany, we both went to school. I mean, we were so young. So when I came finally here, I finished and I became an accountant. Never took charity. Never took charity, whether it was the government or anybody else. It was a whole year. My husband and I ate potatoes and herring. That's all we could afford. And maybe once a day.
Wow.
No charity. To this day, you can't find me in any line. I will not stand in line. I have a phobia against lines. Because sometimes you stood in line and by the time you came, nothing was there. So you didn't eat.
No. That's to be admired. To be admired. So from Chicago, you moved to Arizona.
Yeah.
After children were born?
My 2 daughters got married. Well, I lost my husband in '67.
What did he die of?
He was killed in a car crash, and they ran away.
Will you say that again?
He was killed in a car crash, and they ran away in a big storm, 1967. And I raised my 2 little girls, put them to college.
And you lived in Chicago at that time?
I lived in Skokie.
Skokie, yeah.
So I gave my kids an education and...
There's a Holocaust museum in Skokie.
Probably. Not for my time. I've been gone 25 years from Illinois. But my kids finished college. One of my daughters works in Superior Court.
Wow.
And my younger daughter got a federal job with the Postal Union.
Wow.
So I reaped
That's
the
good.
harvest.
Yes, you did. deserve a lot of credit.
I have wonderful kids, but I was their watchdog.
Yes.
That's it. That's all I cared about. Because I had nobody.
You cared about the most important thing.
That's it. My 2 daughters. And they're still wonderful. I'm with them every weekend. I have a good son-in-law. He calls me up. He said, Mom, how come you're not here yet? Why didn't you come yesterday?
Good.
Well, so I said.
Good for them.
And they gave me both 4 great grandsons. I mean, they're terrific. And one graduated from ASU. He's an alumni because that's where his father graduated. That's why we're in Arizona. My daughter married an alumni from ASU.
That's good.
So I waited till I retired from Illinois. I worked for an industrial manufacturing company in Skokie.
Okay.
And my kids worked part-time there. So that was a big help because we had 1 car. So we dropped off each other and then picked everybody up at different schools. My younger daughter graduated from Urbana, where now they had the shooting.
Yes. Yeah.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah, I took a course, a workshop course in at that school. I remember it was not too far from Chicago.
No, it wasn't. So she finished being a teacher, but she didn't want to be a teacher.
That's DeKalb.
DeKalb, Illinois. She walked out one day. She started teaching, and she was so dedicated. I have to go on the south side. That was black.
Yep.
So I said, I can get you a job working in Skokie. Why do you want to? Well, this is where they need teachers.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Careful.
Hello? Yeah. Hey, can I call you back? Will you be there in the next, 20 minutes? Okay. Right, bye. Oh, gosh.
So she
I
found...
gotta pull that phone out.
That's okay. So she found the car sitting on its belly. They took all 4 tires.
Oh, wait. When she was
When she was student teaching.
Student teaching on
Yeah.
the south side?
Yeah.
That's where we lived on the south side.
That's what happened to her. So she walked out. She calls me up crying. I said, get your body home. Forget about the car. Get somebody to call you a cab. It's going to cost a lot of money. I said, yeah, it's going to cost a lot of money. But I don't care about anything now. Just get your body home. And make sure a guard will watch us when you go into the cab. She cried for weeks. And that was the end of her.
You never saw the car again?
No, we did get the car, but the insurance took care of that. I didn't care about the car.
You cared about what was important.
My God, my little girl is out there on the south side and I can't get to her. It's the only car we had.
So she wound up taking a cab back
Yeah,
to Skokie.
yeah, $50, which I could at that time ill afford. Because I was putting 2 kids through college by myself.
Wow.
So that was the end of her teaching career.
That was the end of it.
Yeah,
Wow.
she gave it up. Gave it up. That's it.
So that was what? Did she teach a couple of years?
Yeah. She was going to go for a master's, part-time, you know.
Huh. So that experience on the south side was
Terrible.
real negative.
Oh, yeah, especially to her. so dedicated. I'm going to help people. I said, yeah, be a martyr, go to war. She didn't have to do that.
So she went from teaching, when she left teaching?
She was with my son-in-law learning real estate and all that, and she was doing that
There's her
part-time.
husband?
No, that's her sister's husband.
Oh.
And he taught her that and all that. And then she said, I need something different. So she got that job, and she's still there.
You have family to be proud of.
Yeah. And my grandsons, my oldest one, he came to me and he said, Bobby, I need to bother you. I need you to speak to me on the Holocaust and on Second World War. I said, honey, you know everything, because I didn't hide from my kids. I talked to them when they were little kids about it, and they always listen. And he said, I'm writing an essay.
Oh.
So he sat me down in the kitchen, closed the door, told the parents not to be interrupted, put this little tape recorder in front of me, and we sat there for 3.5 hours. Talked, cried. You want some water, Bobby? Sure.
What a good guy. Wow.
And his essay was published, of course. And
wow.
And they'll never call up and they'll say, I love you, Bobby.
He what?
They'll always say, I love you, Bobby.
Isn't that wonderful?
That's great.
You deserve that love.
That's why I feel like a farmer. They're my crop. That's it. That's it.
Okay, let's see.
The end of my story.
So your daughters live here.
That's why I'm here. I wouldn't be here.
Where would you be if you...
I would have worked on, because when I came here, I went to work in Scottsdale Memorial Hospital.
Oh.
I worked there 13 years after I retired.
Well, you retired a young lady.
Yeah. Because my kids wanted to move, and I said, okay, I'm fully vested, I have my health insurance, and my son-in-law held me to it. He said, it's time to go. Because I promised him when I retire, I'll move with you to Arizona. And he held me to it.
Oh, that's great. Okay, I think we're done.
Good.
Unless you could think of something else.
I talked my head off.
No, you did great.